Hello and welcome to the Indiana State Police Public Information Program. I'm your host today, Senior Trooper Dave Burston, Public Information Officer for the Indianapolis State Police Post. Today we have a very special show for you, especially if you have an interest in a career in law enforcement and especially if that interest is on the federal level. Our special guest today is Special Agent Wendy Osborne. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Nice to be here.
It's good to have you here. Now, I understand that the FBI is going on a quite a bit expansive employment drive. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we are. For the first time in over 3.5 years, we are recruiting and hiring special agents. What had happened is our senior ranks, our senior agents are becoming of age where they're eligible and or mandatory for retirement, and we need to backfill those slots. So we are looking at forecasting to hire approximately 1,300 agents next year and continuing on for the next couple of years.
1,300, that's quite a large number of people you're looking to fill. Now, aside from retirements, over that 3.5 year period, was there also a hiring freeze for a period of time because of the economy?
Yes, we did have a hiring freeze for the last 3.5 years.
So a lot of opportunities are coming up all across the nation for people. Can you tell me what are some of the qualifications for a person that's interested in being a special agent?
Yes, to be a special agent, an individual needs to be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, be at least 23 years old but not older than 37, have a 4-year college degree plus 3 years full-time work experience.
Now, when we look at the college degree, is there a specific type of degree that they should have, or any general type of college degree?
Well, there's a couple different ways to get into the FBI as a special agent. We have different program slots, we call, and as long as you have a 4-year college degree in any field and 3 years full-time work experience, that would qualify you under our diversified program. However, if you have an advanced degree such as a law degree, you do not need any work experience, or if you have your undergraduate degree in accounting, you do not need any work experience. Now, the other way to do it is if you have your master's degree, which is above and beyond your undergraduate degree, yes, you would only need 2 years work experience.
Now, I take it those are some of the things that will make a person more competitive for those positions. Are there other things that a person can do to make themselves more competitive?
Yes, definitely. If an individual has a language ability, in other words, they'd be fluent in a language that the Bureau is looking for. These aren't typically Spanish, some of the easier languages, although we do recruit those. We're looking at Arabic, Hindu, Cantonese, Japanese, some of the more difficult languages to learn. That would be another way to get in.
What about pilots?
We are recruiting pilots as well. We are seeing a lot of former military wanting to get involved in the FBI. Again, they still need to have their undergraduate degree, but then if they have an advanced skill such as a pilot's license or being fluent in a foreign language, those are things that will make them more competitive.
Now, if we've piqued somebody's interest just this far in our conversation and they wanted to learn more information or they wanted to apply, what should they do?
Sure. We are hiring across the United States in every state. They could call their local FBI office, and the phone number is in the front page of the phone book, or if they were from the Indianapolis area, they could call our office at 317-639-3301, and we'd be more than happy to send them out a pre-employment application as well as information concerning the position.
Okay, and if our viewers didn't get that phone number, we'll put it up again later in the show so that you can copy it down. So grab a pencil and paper so you can get that number down again in a few minutes. Now, I understand that there are a number of different steps in the hiring process, and you have brought with you a video that will help show a good overview about everything that somebody has to do to be to go through the process.
Yes, I sure have. It's a very informative video, and I think if we could at this time would be a nice time to show that video.
Do solemnly swear solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States.
The FBI is the principal investigative arm of the Department of Justice. As a special agent, you will be charged with a number of missions. Among them are investigation of foreign counterintelligence and espionage, illegal drug trafficking, organized crime, white-collar crime, terrorism, interstate criminal activity, and other violations of federal statutes.
against all
To meet
enemies,
these challenges, the FBI needs dedicated young men and women between the ages of 23 and 37 who are college graduates.
The FBI's here. Morning, Officer Bill Estevez, FBI.
Programs in which you may earn consideration for entry into the FBI.
Estevez con el FBI. Estoy investigando.
Fluency in a foreign language like Spanish, Russian, Arabic, Chinese, or others. A degree in law, a degree in accounting, or any four-year college degree with 3 years full-time work experience, such as professional, executive, or investigative work, or other specialized training.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely
Just as there are ways to help qualify you for agent training, there are specific things that may disqualify you. In fact, only about 7 out of every 100 qualified applicants make it to the FBI Academy.
Today begins the very competitive process of becoming a special agent.
Your first step will be to fill out an application form available at the nearest FBI field office. Only those applicants meeting entry-level criteria and the current needs of the FBI will be considered. Many do not make the cut.
Please spell out your name at the top here.
Those of you who do will be scheduled for a battery of in-depth academic tests and in some cases, specialized testing in your field of expertise. Those candidates with qualifying scores are chosen for the next phase of processing. The others don't make it. Those of you who do make it will be interviewed by a 3-member panel of veteran special agents.
I applied with the FBI because I wanted to...
Each candidate is evaluated to measure their motivation, accomplishments, work standards, and communication skills.
I understand the FBI has a need for Hispanics that are fluent Spanish speakers and women, and I qualify in both categories.
Unless you receive a qualifying score from your interview, you won't make it. If you have made it to this point, you'll undergo a thorough investigation of your educational, business, and personal background.
We're conducting a background investigation. One of your neighbors, Charles Scott. He's applied for a position.
If this close scrutiny reveals anything adverse or derogatory reflecting on your honesty, integrity, discretion, character, or reputation, you may be disqualified. If you've used illegal drugs or fail an unannounced drug screen test, you're out.
I find the defendant guilty on all counts.
If you have been convicted of a felony or serious misdemeanors, you are out. If you cannot complete a 2-mile run in a specified time, perform an agility run, push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups, all within qualifying ranges, you won't make it.
It's been a long night. I'm getting
At
home.
times, you may be required to work around the clock.
Okay, wait, I've got the eyeball. I see him come around the corner.
If you want a 9-to-5 career, the FBI is not for you. The job of a special agent requires relocation as a part of your career. All new FBI agents are first assigned to a small to medium-size office based upon the needs of the FBI. Subsequently, all agents are transferred to either New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, or another major metropolitan area. Unless you are willing to relocate, the FBI is not for you. As a special agent, you'll be required to carry a firearm. It may be necessary for you to use this weapon in self-defense or in protecting others.
That's him! That's him right there! Freeze!
Use of deadly force is a consideration, and if you cannot assume that responsibility, the FBI is not for you. The high standards and tough qualifications help the FBI recruit, select, and train the very best individuals to carry the badge and credentials of a special agent.
I will,
well and faithfully,
discharge the duties
of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God.
The FBI Academy, one of the finest law enforcement training centers in the world, is set in the quiet countryside of Virginia on the United States Marine Corps base at Quantico, just a few miles south of Washington, D.C. You will join a class of other successful candidates, and for nearly 4 months, you'll be totally immersed in a tough and intensive training program. You will have numerous hours of classroom activity related to a variety of investigative and academic topics. The FBI Academy is accredited through the University of Virginia. There will be many hours of demanding physical conditioning and training. The FBI's fitness program stays with you throughout your career. Agents are required to take an annual physical and a fitness test every 6 months.
Okay, Juana, let me see your hand.
The curriculum also includes hours of defensive tactics.
Pull the other hand back.
Shooters, you have 10 seconds to fire 5 rounds. Go.
During the training program, many hours are devoted to firearms qualification. Special agents are also required to requalify regularly throughout their career. Your training will equip you with all the necessary knowledge, skills, and abilities to conduct the most significant investigative work. The hours are long, the training is tough, but there is time for socializing and recreation. The day of graduation makes it all worthwhile. As a graduate of the Academy, you are now a special agent of the FBI. After graduation, you'll be assigned to a field office determined by your special skills and the changing needs of the FBI.
This is Agent Juana Garcia reporting in from the Academy. Mr. Wells, our special agent in charge.
Nice to meet you.
Juana, welcome to the Miami Division.
Thank you.
Juana, you really did a fine job this morning on that interview.
Thank you. I felt pretty good about it.
When you report to your first field office, you'll work in conjunction with a veteran special agent until you have fully developed the necessary skills to perform your duties.
I'm sure they'll find it quite useful.
Hoffman, John, this is Jack Kelly.
Hi, Jack. Nice to meet you. This is Angie Sankara. She'll be working with you here on the squad.
Whether meeting the special agent in charge or your squad supervisor, you'll be working with dedicated law enforcement professionals.
Got a full caseload for you, and you're going to have to hit the ground running.
You will be involved in every phase of important investigative work, including surveillance.
Subjects arriving, white Lincoln, Virginia tags. We'll maintain the eye until back.
Fugitive and criminal apprehension. Collecting evidence.
Do you understand your rights, and are you willing to talk to us now, John?
Yeah, I understand them, but I ain't signing nothing.
Interviewing witnesses and suspects.
The bank robbery.
We got the money, we got the gun, and we have you.
Why don't you talk to us, John?
Can you tell us what happened next?
Well, I arrived on the scene with my partner, Agent Baker, and noticed a green...
Providing testimony in court and performing other duties imposed by law. The FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. plays a vital role in providing all agents with expert assistance in developing cases. The FBI has some of the finest support facilities in the world. Sophisticated laboratories with state-of-the-art equipment and experts to identify and analyze evidence. From forensic science examinations to national criminal records, to expert technical advice, to specialized support in languages, firearms, computers, and international liaison. The FBI Identification Division is the national repository for all fingerprints from state, local, and federal law enforcement agencies.
If you are considering a career as a special agent, you must recognize that you may have to use deadly force in performance of your duties. We had a totally unexpected confrontation with two individuals who who were suspect in a series of bank and armored car robberies. A short car chase ensued. Special agents of the FBI pulled the car over and violence erupted. Subjects were armed with 5 different weapons. Special agents of the FBI were also heavily armed. 2 special agents of the FBI died of their wounds. The 2 bank robbers also died of their wounds, and 5 special agents of the FBI were seriously wounded, including myself. You may be in real danger at times throughout your career, but what you must recognize is that the threat is real, and it cannot and should not be minimized.
To apply for a career as a special agent, call or write the nearest FBI field office. The FBI is an equal opportunity employer committed to affirmative action policies for minorities, women, and veterans.
It's not a body shop, it's a chop shop where stolen cars are stripped of their parts. 1 in every 200 registered vehicles in Indiana is stolen. Law enforcement is combating this problem, but they need your help. The Indiana Anti-Car Theft Committee, IAC, has set up a toll-free telephone number for reporting car thefts. This call could get you up to $5,000 for information that leads to an arrest, conviction, or recovery. Call 1-800-AUTO-TIP. Cold cash for Hot Wheels.
Welcome back. Hope that you enjoyed that video and found a lot of good information that will help you and maybe decide if you want to investigate this opportunity a little further. Wendy, what I'd like to ask is if you can help expand on some of the issues that were brought up in the video, and specifically about what some of the different steps in the hiring process are.
Sure, no problem. First thing is, an interested applicant would need to call the FBI and get a preliminary application, which is just a one-side front and back preliminary form that gives us general information and makes sure they meet the minimum qualifications.
So this is just telling them, name, address, how to get a hold of them, the very generic basic information.
Included in that would be their educational qualifications, what they've already accomplished in their real-world job experience, things such as that nature. They would return that to us. If they do meet our minimum qualifications, which I went over earlier before the video, they would be offered a written exam, which is, we call it Phase 1 exam. It's a 4-hour examination which covers, it is similar to an SAT college admittance like
the SAT test. It's giving an overview of kind of like maybe an IQ test in a way.
Exactly. It covers skills such as math, reading comprehensions, things such as that nature.
Now, is that offered at different locations within the state, or would they have to leave Indiana to do that, or Do they do it in different parts of the state?
No, they don't. We don't do it in different parts of the states. Every state has a recruiter and has a application process that you can go through. Somebody here in Indianapolis would simply need to call the Indianapolis office or any place for the entire state. We'd be testing them right here in Indianapolis.
So if somebody from Gary, Indiana, or from Evansville was interested, they would have to come to Indianapolis for the test?
Exactly.
Okay.
Unless we had a large number of qualified candidates in one area. We have gone up and held examinations up in Valparaiso at the law school up there, where we had 20 to 50 interested and qualified applicants take an examination.
So there is some flexibility depending upon the circumstances?
Certainly, no problem.
What's the next step then?
The next step is once they pass the written exam, we would review their qualifications, and at that point they would fill out a more comprehensive application, approximately 15-page application, more detailed information, helps us get a better feel for who they are. We review that, and based on how competitive they are, we would schedule them for an oral interview. And that is where 3 special agents would interview them for 1 hour, 16 structured questions, and they would also have a phase in there that they would have a writing assignment, just to make sure someone can write legibly.
Now I'd like to touch a little bit when you talked about a structured interview. Some people may not be familiar with that, but as I understand, a structured interview is every one of those candidates is going to be asked the same question.
That's exactly right. If you were interviewed in Indianapolis and your best friend was interviewed in Miami, Florida, they would get the exact same 16 questions asked in the exact same order.
So the FBI is looking, I'm sure, for certain types of answers, and there are going to be key points that they're looking to see if you hit those points.
Yeah, certainly. Okay. Exactly.
Where does it go from there?
If the applicant were to successfully pass the phase 2, which is the oral interview I discussed, they would then go on to come into the office and have a polygraph examination administered for obvious security reasons, as well as prior drug usage and so forth. We administer polygraph examinations to all of our applicants now. If they successfully pass that, they would be fingerprinted, their height and weight would be measured, they would do a trigger pull exam. All this is within the same day.
If I can ask you, and you may not be able to answer this, but I'm going to go ahead and ask, what do you find is the attrition rate for each phase? Like if you have 1,000 people that applied, is there X number that are disqualified at phase 1 and then at phase 2 and so forth?
If 1,000 people apply and say 770 or 700 of the 1,000 are qualified, meet our pre-qualifiers, those 700 would be the only ones that go on to take phase 1, the written exam.
I see.
Of those 700, approximately 50% will pass phase 1, the written test.
So now we're down to 350.
Now we're down to 350. Of those, we send approximately, say, 200 of the originally 350 that pass the exam. We consider them the most qualified candidates, and we send them on to the oral interview. Again, of those, we lose approximately 50% again.
So that, starting out with that 1,000, you're very rapidly shaving it down to the top 100, 150 people.
Yeah, about 10%.
Okay. Now, I'm sure one thing that a lot of people want to know, and probably wish that we had touched on it sooner, is everybody wants to know, what's the starting salary? What are the chances for advancement? How does that work?
Sure. The FBI is the highest paid federal law enforcement agency. We do start our special agents on a general schedule, which is a government schedule, GS-10 Step 2. For those people who don't understand that, that's approximately $38,000 their first year.
Okay.
Again, FBI agents are paid for our overtime. You get a base salary plus 25% of your base is for overtime. Okay? After your first year, your probationary year, you move up to the next step and gradually increase a step every year.
So a step every year, is there a point like after 7 years or 10 years that you've maxed out, or is it literally a new step every year for your entire career?
Great question. No, it's not a new step every year. For the first 4 years, it is a new step every year and a raise every year. Then you get into the higher paying categories, and you must stay in those areas for 1 to 2 years. There is a point, if you do not decide to go into management with the FBI, where a senior grade 13 step 10 agent makes approximately $80,000 a year. Now that's not somebody that's in supervision. He is a street agent that handles his own cases and is not a supervisor.
So a lot of opportunities and some good pay on top of it.
Yeah, very good. We also do have room for advancement should someone decide that they want to go into supervision. Again, they can make more money in being a supervisor or a special agent in charge of an entire field division, and that individual is responsible for the entire state.
And like anything else, the amount of pay is commensurate with the amount of responsibility.
Exactly.
Now, I recall in the video that it talked about where that a person first coming on is going to be at a major office such as New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, and so forth. What are the opportunities that if somebody from Indianapolis joins the FBI and says, gosh, I really would like to be able to come back to this area, family and grandparents and so forth, is that possible? And if so, how long will it take?
Yeah, unfortunately, right, the individual would not be allowed to come back to the place that they had processed through unless there was an extremely extraordinary circumstances, and typically that does not happen. The video, I'm glad you brought that up, the video is a little incorrect on that. The new agent would not be transferred necessarily to a large office such as New York or Miami, San Francisco. Nowadays, we are transferring agents based on the needs of the Bureau. That could be a small to medium-sized office such as Indianapolis. It just really depends on where we need the agents right now. But as you said, if you did want to come back to the state of Indiana later on, there is a possibility, and we call that an office of preference transfer. Usually that wouldn't happen until you have 15 to 20 years in the Bureau.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So then take 15 years to get your office of preference. During that time, how often could they reasonably expect to be transferred?
Good question. That has changed too. The old school of thought used to be FBI agent was transferred every 2 years. That's not the case any longer. You would initially be transferred out of your first office where you process from to your first office of assignment. Once you are there, you can expect to be there a minimum of 4 years. Anytime between 4 and 10 years with the Bureau, you could be eligible for transfer again. Okay, you could suggest or request a transfer at that point, but if you are not transferred after 10 years, you can stay where you're at if that's what you choose.
Now, I'm going to ask a question that I really have no idea about the answer to, and I hope you can help me out. Are there opportunities with the FBI outside of the U.S.? Do you have offices outside of the United States?
Yes, we sure do. We have offices, they're called legats, and we have those scattered throughout the country. Offices in Germany, Bonn, Germany, in France, London, all over.
So,
yes.
We've got about a minute or so left, and if you can, in that short a time, I know I'm putting some pressure on you, tell us an overview of some of the different things that an FBI agent may be responsible for investigating.
Sure. The FBI has jurisdiction in over 286 violations of federal law. Things that we typically can get involved in are bank robberies, hunting down fugitives for the local or state police. We also respond to bank theft, larceny, truck hijackings, interstate shipment cases where trailer loads are stolen and have moved across state lines, kidnapping, anything like that the FBI gets involved in.
So, and of course, I think you mentioned the one thing that I always think about and that I come across FBI agents with is anytime there's a bank robbery.
Exactly. We respond to all bank robberies or credit union robberies that are federally insured.
Okay. Wendy, I very much appreciate you taking time to be on the show, and I hope that our viewers have found this of interest. So if you do have an interest in a law enforcement career, remember to call that phone number. I'm going to repeat it again for you. It's area code 317-639-3301, and Wendy or somebody else there will be able to help you out with that. Until we see each other again, please remember the next time you're out in a car and driving about, buckle up, because the life you save could be your own or that of somebody you love. See you next time. Bye-bye.